Which second-year running backs are ready to break out in 2021? We're going to give you our favorites. Let's start with you, Chris. Who's a running back you're keeping your eye on?
I'm keeping my eye on Anthony McFarland of the Pittsburgh Steelers. James Conner is a free agent, unlikely to be back next season in Pittsburgh. There's rumors he might go to the Jets. They have no real financial investment in Benny Snell. His contract is tiny. They don't really have to roll with Benny Snell. They drafted McFarland last year. I think they give him a shot as we head into 2021. Also, this is a team, they don't have a ton of cap space, so they're probably not going to be out there, chasing running backs in the free agent market. And they have other areas of need that I think they're going to spend draft capital on. So I think going into 2020, we're going to see, Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland basically battling it out for that number one running back spot. And I think McFarland will get it done. He'll edge out Benny Snell, and he'll be the Steelers' number one running back as we head into 2021.
Yeah, it's interesting because the Steelers definitely need an upgrade at the position. The running game just didn't help them out at all. Big Ben's last season, he's going to want some support. And you know what? There's a lot of people who are linking the Steelers to a running back in the NFL draft, maybe even first round with a guy like Travis Etienne or Najee Harris. But what if they look and say, hey, we already got our guy last year? So definitely don't sleep on McFarland. Might get his chance. All right, I'm going to go with a guy that we barely saw last season also, and that's Darrynton Evans in Tennessee. Look, I know he's the backup to Derrick Henry, which means there's a good chance he will barely see the ball. But this past season, it wasn't just about the fact they didn't need him. He was injured, only appeared in 5 games, barely got the ball. So if Evans, who's a guy they liked enough to pick in the 3rd round last year, can stay healthy, he's a dual threat in terms of being able to run and catch the ball. He's a guy that has 4.4 speed, really more of a high-end handcuff, if anything. Get that. But that's the kind of player that you want and you need in the late round of drafts, especially if you have Derrick Henry. It's the perfect asset. So don't sleep on Evans either. He's a guy that I'm still keeping my eye on.
Definitely. And, we've talked about Derrick Henry, the freak of nature, the anomaly who racks up 300-plus yard touches every year and just keeps rolling like nothing. But that there is going to come a time where he's going to slow down. He's going to start breaking down. He may start dealing with injuries. And it could be as early as next year. And if it is, Evans is in line to step up. And then my next potential second-year breakout is a guy who we all thought was going to break out last year but did not, and that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Not quite the rookie season we hoped for him, especially after week 1 when we all thought we had struck gold with our rookie pick. Kind of struggled there, didn't seem to really acclimate to either the speed of the NFL game or the physicalness of the NFL game. The Chiefs went out, brought in Le'Veon Bell, which was not a great vote of confidence for him. Down the stretch, Darrell Williams, even in the playoffs, Darrell Williams was getting run. But I think heading into 2021, we are going to see the Clyde Edwards-Helaire we hoped to see last year. I think having that year under his belt, getting used to the game, getting used to the speed is going to be good for him. And look, let's be real. The Chiefs used their only real high-end draft pick last year on a running back. They're not going to do that again. They have way more needs than that, especially that offensive line. You got to think the Chiefs are not going to be looking to do anything on offense outside of the line. No receivers, no running backs. So we got to think going into 2021, Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be the starter. And again, like I said, I expect bigger things from him in 2021. And last year he was by the time Damian Williams had opted out, he was going in the 1st round. Now he's going in like the 3rd, 4th round of draft. So I think that's a great value for him as we head into 2021.
Yeah, you and I were both saying all last draft season, stay away from Edwards-Helaire. Not that we don't like the player or the situation, but he was being way overdrafted. 1st round in some drafts. We knew that was a mistake, and it turned out to be correct. And now it might be the opposite. It might be a little bit underdrafted. I think it's probably still a solid value if you get him in the 3rd round. But still, look, they didn't spend a 1st round pick on a guy to not use him. And if anything, I think the Super Bowl might have taught the Chiefs a lesson. You kind of need that balance. Maybe they should have run the ball more so that Mahomes wasn't running for his life all game. My next player is a guy who definitely was underutilized. Hopefully things change. New coaching staff in Detroit and new quarterback, new philosophy. It's not going to be the Matthew Stafford show. I think it's going to be the DeAndre Swift show. He's a guy that they also drafted really high. He was the 2nd running back taken after Edwards-Helaire in last year's draft. And he definitely has what it takes to be a 3-down back. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry. Didn't get the ball enough, but when he did, he flashed. And this is a guy that averaged 3.5 receptions per game, even as lightly as he was used when they were giving the ball to Adrian Peterson and other players, or just letting Stafford sling the ball because they were behind big. So look, this is a team that wants to improve its defense. Stafford isn't there to carry the team on his back anymore. They're going to be more conservative. Dan Campbell is kind of a meat and potatoes kind of coach, and he's already explained his philosophy very eloquently. They're going to grind it out. He's going to give the ball to his running backs, and he mentioned specifically using Swift as a slot receiver. That's the kind of thing that should make a fantasy manager drool when you hear that, knowing that not only is he going to carry the ball more, but you know he's going to get a ton of catches. So he might turn out to be what we had thought Edwards-Helaire was going to be last year. So DeAndre Swift is way high on my radar. Look, I'm not saying I'm going to spend a first-round pick on him, but he's a guy I'm definitely targeting as a potential top 10 running back in fantasy.
Man, Swift is so polarizing for me. On the one hand, I could see a situation where he is, the every down, 3-down guy there. But on the other hand, I could see a situation where this team is so bad and this offense is so bad that it doesn't really matter because they're playing from behind, they're having to throw the ball, and Swift just isn't involved in the game enough. So he's just so tough for me. Certainly the breakout potential is there, but there's also a lot of risk for him as we head into 2021. So I don't know. I probably will stay away from him just for the simple fact that I'm having trouble of what to make of DeAndre Swift. But I definitely won't be staying away from this guy, and that is J.K. Dobbins of the Baltimore Ravens. Look, it was really frustrating for most of the year last year until the Ravens finally stopped giving Mark Ingram the ball, and we got to see what J.K. Dobbins could do, and he did not disappoint. Right, was one of the best fantasy running backs down the stretch. Yeah, his ceiling is going to be a little bit capped because they do have Gus Edwards, but this is a team that runs the ball more than any other team in the NFL. There's more than enough to go around here for J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. You got to think as we roll into 2021, J.K. Dobbins will be the primary starting running back. Gus Edwards kind of being the 1B to his 1A. So really, the ceiling here is so high for J.K. Dobbins as we enter 2021. He's got the skill set. He's got the situation. He's on the right team. I love J.K. Dobbins as we head into 2021.
Yeah, J.K. Dobbins, very different situation from Swift. He's a guy that, he's not going to get 20-plus carries a game. That is definitely capped, as you mentioned. The ceiling is a little limited just because, his quarterback is basically like a running back with the ball in his hand. He's going to steal some carries. Gus Edwards will be a factor. Maybe whoever else they get to replace Mark Ingram, who's gone. So this is going to be sort of a committee situation. Dobbins, yes, he will lead the way. It's just he's not going to have those explosive games. But my last breakout running back as far as second-year players go, it's my boy Cam Akers. You could say the breakout maybe already happened, although it was a pretty small window. Those last couple of weeks, we saw a glimpse of what he can do. From week 13 on, he averaged 85 rushing yards a game. And then in the playoffs, was even better, scored a touchdown in each game, ran for 131 yards and then 90 yards in the playoffs. He finally secured that bell cow role that we were waiting. You know what? You have to take into consideration all of these players, right? In this crazy COVID world, they didn't have the regular training camp and the rookie camps and all the face-to-face meetings, all the things that players need to acclimate to the pros. And so there's no surprise that a lot of these players we just mentioned didn't get going to the end of the season. So if what we saw from guys like Dobbins and Akers is any glimpse into the future of 2021, you have guys who could be legit RB1s in fantasy and on their own teams. So I love what I saw from Akers. It took a little longer than I hoped for, but I think we're going to see a lot more of that next year.
Yeah, I think Akers will be a top 12, if not a top 10 running back in fantasy football next year.
Yeah, and the interesting thing to talk about Stafford and carrying the team with a passing game, is that going to hurt or help him? The fact that he's on the Rams now, I think it's just going to help the offense. So I'm not worried about him stealing carries. They still have to run the ball too. All right, so those are our favorite second-year running back breakouts. Let us know what you think. How high are you on those guys? Is there somebody that we missed? Let us know with a comment. And of course, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate it. Join the Endgame community so we can help you win. All right, thanks for watching.